So let's talk about Lagos State, Nigeria's economic epicenter. The city of Lagos itself and its adjoining towns, very big when it comes to road transportation, infrastructure, we need that. But of course, the blue buses, that's what Lagos State pioneered in the entire country. Very rapid bus system that helps you get to where you're going on time with dedicated lanes. But now it has to be ramped up a little bit more to make things easier. You've noticed queues in recent times. So what has been done to reduce the queues and give us a more healthy way of moving around the city? And of course, the other towns around Badagry, Ikorodu, and a few others. So let's talk to Fola Tinubu, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive at Primero Transport Services. They are the operators of the BRT. They've just got in another ink on paper, the Lagos State government extending the contract into a 10-year period, so you're going to see these guys beyond the year 2020. And of course, part of what they're bringing to the table is an infrastructure bond, of which the book building has already started. North of 20 billion naira is what has been raised. That's a drop in the ocean if you consider Lagos State, the size, 20 billion, one single day. That's what, of course, our good friend from the investment community, Sonia Ayere, the Managing Director and CEO at Don Laurel Merrifield, will be adding to the conversation. Gentlemen, it's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is where money meets business. So the handshake between the businessman and the investment community, this is what I call the PPP that I love, between the man who brings the money and the man who spends it. So you generated money for Fola to spend. So it's good to have you folks. But let's start with the man who is the one making the money, and that's Fola himself. So talk to us about innovative area issues we need to deal with Lagos BRT. What is the state of this BRT as we speak?
Actually, as you and your viewers know, we started about 3 years ago, and we've had some challenges which we are trying to go over now. And we believe that with this bond now, most of our problems will be in the past.
You've had challenges of funding or financing?
Yeah, it's financing really, because what the Naira, when the Naira lost so much value about 2 years ago, it affected us negatively. It eroded our cash, our working capital, and also our cost of operation went up, and our, look, we don't manufacture anything in this country. Almost everything we use on those buses, we import, and everything went up. I'll give you a couple of examples. Tires. When we started, we were buying at about 60, 70,000. Now the same tires we're buying at 140,000, 140, 150,000. Diesel, we're buying about 170, 120 a liter. We're buying the same now at about 220, 230. So our cost of operation went up, but our debt also went up because we took facilities in dollars when we started. So it was a double.
You did your calculations at 190 perhaps?
190.
Now you're looking at 350,
actually, we thought we were being aggressive. We were using about 250, 275 when we went.
For your computation?
Yeah, for our computation. And we thought we were being aggressive then. And people were looking at us, how can Naira get to 275? But it went all the way to 520.
Perhaps you would have gone technically under if you had used 190 and not 200 or 250 to do your case then. But again, folks are saying some of these buses are old. They want to see new buses. They want to see improved bus stations. Are all this going to come through now?
They're going to come through. The first thing we need to do is to reduce the waiting time. And the way to reduce the waiting time is to put more buses on the road. Namata actually does mandate us to put 380 buses on the road.
That's the industry regulator?
Yes, that's the industry regulator. And right now we are running about between 220 and 250 buses on the road. So we need to ramp it up and go, and if we ramp it up, we will reduce the waiting time for everybody. So that, it will not take more than 10, 15 minutes for people to board our buses. Right now, it takes almost about 30, 45 minutes to board our buses. So we need to reduce that. And the way to do it is to put more buses on the road. To put more buses on the road, we need working capital, and we need to pay down our debt and get a cheaper source of fund.
I like the reducing the queues, because the rainy season is almost here.
Yes.
And not everyone can cram into the bus station. So folks are going to get really, really messy if they have to wait for too long, and rain could be falling every other hour or minutes.
In fact, it breaks my heart every time I go out to the bus shelters because I go practically every day. And you see pregnant women or nursing mothers standing
School children.
in the sun, in the scorching sun, waiting for buses. Nobody should wait for more than 10, 15 minutes to board a bus. And with this, we should be able to put more buses on the road. And once there are more buses on the road, it will reduce the waiting time considerably. And people will see a better, more efficient, more effective Primero.
Okay, I got one or two more questions for you, but let's chat to Sonia here, who is an investment banker and one who understands how the money comes together. What's the size of the program here?
That's 100 billion. The program itself is 100 billion.
100 billion naira.
Yeah, but the series, the first series that's been issued is for 21.5 billion.
Okay, and how is this coming through at a time when you're looking at exchange rate, interest rate, inflation, to make sure that this is attractive to investors, because they want to loan this money, they want to get their money back.
No, I mean, I think we're pretty certain that the yield that is being proposed, which is north of 16, you know, is pretty. That's a pretty healthy yield. We're looking at a 7-year
instrument.
7-year instrument. We would like longer, but I think given that it's their first foray into the market, let's keep it at 7 and see how they do. I'm sure they'll do well. As Mr. Tumba has mentioned, it's all about increasing the number of buses that are servicing the people. The reality of the matter is there is a huge demand for transport services, especially in Lagos and even across Nigeria. But let's be specific to Lagos. Massive demand. And the ability to actually service that demand means you have to put more, even 380 buses, right, which is what Lamata, the regulator, and it's important to clear that it's not a PPP, it's Lamata actually regulating, the
bus
PTSL,
operator.
exactly, bus operators. They brought their own money and met the whole criteria. And as you rightly said, they had started with a 10-year contract, all right? They've spent 3 years of that contract, and that contract has now been renewed back to 10 years this year, which really is more like a 13-year contract. So the idea basically is that 380 that they've now been tasked to make sure they put, right, is still not enough. They will still need more. As you've got major population growth, and for our perspective, we see this also as a developmental financial program, not just just raising capital, but it has a developmental element.
Fala, how would you be deploying, if you go to some parts of Lagos, you see a few areas being designated as BRT area, there are no buses there yet, can see some construction going on. Because again, if you look at Lagos Island is much smaller now than the satellite towns and all around. True. The Alimosho, for example, the largest local government, the Ekpe, Aziz, the Bejuleki is opening up with the refinery coming up there. So how would you be deploying almost 400 buses?
Actually, the 380 will be for Ikorodu to TBS only.
Wow.
Yes, that's what, But Lagos State has about 14 BRT corridors planned. The first one is the one we're on now, which is Ikorodu to TBS. The second one is Abule-Egba to Oshodi, which is under construction, should be ready by the end of this year. We've submitted our bid for that, and we've been told that we want it, so we'll be bringing another about 300, 350 buses for that axis, probably by end of the year or first quarter of next year. And then, as the Lagos State goes along doing the BRT corridors, we'll continue to bid. Our goal, our dream is we would like to have minimum 2,000 buses picking up 1 million people daily all over Lagos. Because if you look at it, there are about 3 to 4 million people moving up and down Lagos almost every hour. So the demand is there. Everywhere you go, you see people at the bus stops. Because Lagos State, according to World Bank studies, needs about 7,000 buses to be going up and down daily. And right now, including our 434, including the 840 that Governor Akinwumi just brought in, there are less than 2,000 buses in Lagos. So there's such a massive gap that needs to be bridged.
That's taking my car away from me.
Actually, that's
the sit more in the bus.
That's the idea. That's the idea that you and I should leave our cars behind and get on the bus and go to where we're going. We need to reduce the number of buses, cars on the road. We cannot build our way or enough roads to satisfy everybody in Lagos. The only way to do it is to do massive public transportation system, which is what Lagos State is doing with the rail, with the buses, with ferries, so that way you and I can leave our cars at home. Maybe on weekend we take it out and just go. And go on the buses, or, you know.
Will ticket prices go up alongside this?
Look, we're in a very price-sensitive market because an average Lagosian spends about 40 to 50% of their revenue on transportation. So it's not something that you can do willy-nilly increasing it. We've gotten one increase from Lagos State government, I think, last year. We're not looking for an increase right now. What we want to do is concentrate on volume because, look, whether we like it or not, we are providing a social element. There's a social element to our business. And you cannot just be increasing prices on people willy-nilly. So it's the volume that we, you know, that...
so you make more money on volume?
Yes.
And not ticket price?
Not, yeah.
Yes. Shola, Sonny, let's get back to you on the area of bonds. Lagos State has a bit of a case in the news which has to do with the environmental bond, which is totally different with Visionscape and all of that. What are the lessons from there?
Okay, I think let me just 1 second before I go there. I think it'll be good to just mention the fact that for what I was just talking about, in terms of the price increase, that even by contract between Lamata and themselves, right, they're actually allowed to increase the prices. Okay, if, for instance, inflation or other prices go up. So, give an example. If diesel went from, you know,
400
to 400, they have the right
yes.
to increase price. So that it's important to bring that out.
Okay.
Now, in terms of the...
so if there's a price increase anytime on the horizon,
yes,
folks should understand that there are...
yeah, they're allowed to.
It's part of the contract.
It's part of the contract
yes.
that the operator can do that.
So there's flexibility there. Exactly. So that way you don't get to a point where your cost of operations exceeds your revenues. Then, of course, that means why would you be in business, right? And like I said, this is it's not a public-private partnership between, say, a private company and government.
So it's 100% the Primero transfer services, your money on the table, get your investors, get all the assets in, and run it, but charge reasonable prices.
Correct. That's
and Lagos State is not putting a dime on the table.
No.
At all.
Everybody thought Lagos has some money in there.
No. They don't have a single kobo.
No, it's a private company.
So
that's what I thought.
Yeah. So exactly. So I thought that it was good to have that clarity. So what Lamata is like the regulator, just like we have SEC as our regulator, or say, for instance, the telecoms has as a regulator. That's what it is. All right. So you come in, you have to meet certain criteria, et cetera, et cetera. So, for instance, all the 13 corridors he talked about, there might be other people that will bid for that. They all have to bid, and you win your bid, okay, to get a specific corridor. So it's pretty much that. So to take a conversational detour back to Visionscape.
To the bond market, yes.
I think the key lessons to be learned is really, and one thing I always advocate for, my colleagues on the other side of the table, which is the buy side, is to read the documentation very well. The truth of the matter is, my understanding is that, and I have colleagues of mine who actually read at the time and did not invest, was that it is actually tied to performance. So the ISPO had a caveat to it, which was that it only exceeds or whatever, so long as the institution is collecting the refuge.
The revenue.
Yeah, no, the refuge.
Yes.
So there was a collection trigger within the structure, right? And then anyone looking at that would say, well, what if they don't collect or anything happens to collections? That means I may not be paid. So you can see there that it's not an irrevocable, unconditional, come what may, will pay, right? But nevertheless, I still, from my own experience of the way capital markets works, my advice still to Lagos State is to find a way to go beyond what the legalese and everything is, because it affects investor perception. And I think that it will be in the long term, or medium to long term interest of the state to make good that obligation.
On that obligation.
Yeah.
But again, this is totally different because this goes straight to the SEC.
Which this one? Yes,
Yes.
but no, not really. Which one? Which one?
The Primero, yes.
Yeah, Primero
Transport.
is no. So there's a difference between Visionscape and Primero. So Visionscape was a private company bond, which was wrapped by Lagos State, and therefore
as a subnational, at least.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, subnational, exactly. So from that perspective, it wasn't since it was a private company, it had nothing to do with SEC. Fine. In the case of Primero, it's a public and has to be approved by SEC. Okay. We only received that approval last week, the approval to go to market.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, you can see, yes, this is SEC backed. SEC has an approval.
Correct.
There's a rating coming through on this Primero.
Correct.
Yes.
3.
So this, I'm looking at all the confidence, the elements of a confidence that investors will want to say, absolutely. Oh, well, the SEC and the NSA, oh, no, we don't have a hand in it. Now you have a SEC paper here to show that, yes.
SEC has approved it. It's going to be rated, and it's also guaranteed by a bank.
Okay.
Yeah, irrevocable, unconditional. Yeah. And that's been actually their partner bank, which I'll mention. I think I can mention that. Sterling Bank has been a partner bank with Primero from the get-go. And have been, I mean, to my experience of working with banks in this country, that has been, I would say, the most supportive bank I have ever come across in terms of supporting a client and a client's ambition, you know, to be, let me say, use the term number one, or at least have what I would call an impact in the industry that they're operating in. I have to commend Sterling Bank for that.
For you spoke about this distribution and these 13 corridors. Again, we want to see work move very quickly. For example, what we call the Abule-Egba Oshodi axis, because work is still going on there by the new bridge, and it looks like how soon are folks going to
based on Lagos State,
services?
Lagos State government estimate, the work should be done probably finished by third quarter, latest fourth quarter of this year, and then we plan to commence operation there either the first quarter or by the second quarter of next year, depending on when they finish the work. But latest 1st of April, God willing, will commence operation on that axis.
Interesting. In terms of what the horizon is here for you as far as this project is concerned, if you're not having a recourse to Lagos State funds, how does Lagos State benefit from this deal?
Lagos State benefits from it because, look, anything that makes commerce easy benefits the state. And commerce rests on the foundation of transportation. Because if people can move from point A to point B easily, it benefits all of us. And if we get this right, and lots of us leave their car, just like in London or wherever, you leave your car at home, it benefits all of us in the long run. So, although, yes, we do pay a portion of our revenue to Lagos State to use the corridor, to use the BRT corridor. It's not free. It's not free.
I thought that was free.
Exactly. No,
you pay for the corridor.
I wish it were free.
so you pay Lagos some money for the right of way.
Yeah, but they use that money they do use that money to maintain the corridor. So it's a win-win situation for both of us. But the point is, transportation is so critical to commerce that the better we get this, everybody benefits in the long run.
Okay, we'll be on the lookout for this. Sonny says book building has already started for this 21.5 billion naira.
Yes, it has.
Okay. So that will expected to close very soon.
Yes, normally we have 10 working days to close it. So we've already begun to speak to the funds. Actually, been speaking to them for quite a while. They've been part of the the cooking process. I think what is important to mention to the viewers is the fact that it's important for investors to note that unlike a Visionscape, where the comfort or the guarantee was supposed to come from Lagos State, right? The guarantee here is coming from a private institution, which is
a commercial bank.
A commercial bank.
Which is a sterling bank.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Exactly.
So the money is there?
Yes. So the relationship between Lagos State and Primero, which is what we've clarified here, is that LAMATA is a regulatory body, okay?
For transport.
Absolutely. And has a legal right to provide, to give contracts to qualifying bidders. And that contract is actually backed by law, a law ratified by the Lagos State
House of Assembly.
House of Assembly. Exactly. So everything is absolutely intact.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Fola, hope to see you on the bus.
Thank you.
Sometime later,
Absolutely.
and I'll look out for you specifically.
Thank you.
The man from Broad Street. Those are the folks bringing together the 20.5 billion naira for the Primero Lagos transport. So that's your BRT story. Let's get together on the bus someday, shall we? But for now, let's get to the other. Let's take a break. We'll be right back into it.